Trump does care what people on the right say about him. He may not care what Mighty says about him, and we should keep speaking out, but he does care about what his base thinks about him when he stood on the stage with Vladimir Putin and took Putin's word over the word of the U.S. intelligence agencies. Unfortunately, it didn't seem like this mattered enough to voters. Here, they called him out in no uncertain terms. Entitled, Trump Tilts Toward a Ukraine Sellout. They go into how Trump puts more pressure on Kyiv for a deal than he does on the Kremlin.
Is hell freezing over? Did pigs start flying? Because Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal just put Trump on blast with a front page takedown of his pro-Russia nonsense. And I am absolutely living for this plot twist. For years, we've watched Fox News and the WSJ pretend Trump wasn't practically sending Putin Valentine's cards. Now they're finally admitting what we've been screaming since 2016, that Trump's bromance with Putin is super creepy and maybe, just maybe, not great for America or its allies. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the videos. Can you believe what we're seeing? The Wall Street Journal, yes, that Wall Street Journal, just put Trump on blast right on their front page. This isn't some liberal rag we're talking about. This is Rupert Murdoch's business Bible suddenly going full enough is enough on the former president. For years, the WSJ has been practically doing Trump's PR work, nodding along like those dashboard bobbleheads whenever he said something cozy about Russia. But something wild just happened. Trump went on another one of his Ukraine rants, and this time even the Wall Street Journal couldn't smile and nod through it. In what has to be the foreign policy equivalent of saying the earth is flat, Trump claimed that Ukraine actually started the war with Russia. This is, as the Journal pointed out, about as truthful as saying the chicken crossed the road to get to KFC.
Donald Trump's capitulation to Vladimir Putin and Russia even brings heat from the Wall Street Journal editorial board, a Rupert Murdoch publication normally supportive of Trump. Vladimir Zelensky has a 4% popularity rating. Untrue. It's actually around 57%, which is higher than Trump's rating. And now the Rupert Murdoch publication, the Wall Street Journal, is going after Trump for it. Ronald Reagan must be rolling over in his grave, because what we're seeing in echoing Russia's talking points is an utter capitulation to Vladimir Putin, taking Russia's side in the war against Ukraine.
It's victim blaming on an international scale, like suggesting Poland invaded Nazi Germany or that my wallet mugged the guy who stole it. But here's the truly jaw-dropping part. The WSJ editorial board didn't just politely disagree or do their usual, well, he probably meant something else, routine. They flat out suggested Trump has a political intention to make voters think there's no real difference between the Kremlin and Kyiv. That's newspaper speak for this guy is deliberately trying to confuse Americans about who the bad guys are.
Kamala Harris or Joe Biden in the last election. He said he just wouldn't vote for either one. Elections are about choices, and if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, you have essentially chosen Donald Trump. By Trump's words, and called him out on it. But remember, John Bolton, even though he has been principled when it comes to Ukraine, he also refused to support, especially if you realize that Donald Trump is remaking American foreign policy to side with the dictators, to side with the invaders, to side with our enemy.
This is coming from a newspaper that historically has been one of Trump's biggest cheerleaders. It's like watching your strict parent who always defended your terrible behavior suddenly say, you know what? That was actually pretty messed up. The editorial marks a genuine shift in tone from a publication that's typically ready to give Trump every benefit of the doubt. The really fascinating thing is what this says about conservative media's growing unease with Trump's Russia love affair. When even the Wall Street Journal is suggesting you're parroting Kremlin talking points, you've crossed some kind of line. It reflects a broader discomfort among Trump's traditional allies about his bizarre alignment with Russian narratives. If the Wall Street Journal turning on Trump was surprising, what's happening at Fox News might make your MAGA hat spontaneously combust. We've entered some kind of alternate reality where even Trump's media fortress is showing cracks cracks in its foundation. The conservative media landscape is shifting beneath our feet like someone replaced the floor with a bouncy castle.
Trump fashions himself a master negotiator, but already he's giving away the story. He's already negotiating from a position of weakness with Vladimir Putin, accepting all his claims, asking nothing in return. He also wrote that Trump likes dealing with authoritarian leaders like Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, which is dangerous for our national security because he doesn't fully understand the stakes nor the concessions he's been making. Bolton said Trump's characterization of Zelensky and Ukraine are some of the most shameful remarks ever made by a U.S. president. Our support of Ukraine has never been about charity. Our way of life at home depends on our strength abroad.
The most mind-blowing example, on Maria Bartiromo's show, basically Trump's personal cheerleading squad, a guest actually had the audacity to fact-check the orange turd's claims about Ukraine. They called Trump's comments highly unfair to Ukraine right there on air. This is like seeing your strict Catholic grandmother suddenly start twerking at Thanksgiving dinner. It's that level of shocking. This reality check has sent MAGA world into absolute meltdown mode. Trump supporters are flooding social media with cries of betrayal, accusing Fox News of joining the deep state or whatever boogeyman they're blaming this week. Imagine their confusion. They tune in expecting their regular dose of Trump worship, only to hear someone contradicting dear leader. It's cognitive dissonance on steroids. Meanwhile, Republican politicians are doing their best impression of invisible people. They're more silent than a mime convention in a library because crossing Trump is still political suicide in their world. Their strategy seems to be hiding under their desks until this whole should we support America or Russia debate blows over. Even John Bolton, yeah, that war-loving mustache with a man attached, is criticizing Trump's foreign policy. As the research perfectly puts it, when Bolton says your foreign policy is bad, that's like Gordon Ramsay telling you your cooking sucks. When the guy who never met a country he didn't want to bomb thinks you're too friendly with dictators, you might want to reconsider your life choices. The GOP is truly stuck between a rock and an orange place. These poor Republicans are more scared of Trump than a turkey on Thanksgiving, but they're also terrified of looking like Putin's American bestie. They're performing Olympic-level mental gymnastics, trying to support Trump without explicitly endorsing his pro-Russia stance. So here we are, witnessing what might be the first real crack in Trump's media armor, and boy is it a big one. When Murdoch's empire decides to finally call out Trump's Putin obsession on the front page, that's not just news, that's a seismic shift in the conservative media landscape. And get this, new polling shows Trump's own base is starting to get a little squirmy about his non-stop Putin praise. Some MAGA folks are actually questioning whether cozying up to a Russian dictator is such a brilliant strategy after all. Imagine that. It's like watching someone slowly realize that maybe, just maybe, the guy selling magic beans in the parking lot isn't totally legit. The million-dollar question now is whether Trump's fans will actually care about this, or just add the Wall Street Journal to their mental deep state enemies list right between Liz Cheney and vegetables. Either way, the naked emperor is standing in the town square, and more people are pointing at his birthday suit every day.